The 7th season of Drive to Survive has some really bad parts that the F1 drivers have talked about. It looks like the show just can't make a perfect story when it really matters. Max Verstappen and Lando Norris's friendship was shown in a twisted way after Lando won his first race in Miami. Also, the Mercedes team's story where the Spa race was told differently. Is this making the show's future look bad? And what do the drivers think about it? There's no doubt that Drive to Survive is the show we all wait for right before each season starts. We know that some things will be changed just to make it more exciting, but there are some things that go too far. In the 7th season, 2 of them are way too obvious. The drivers and fans around the world have talked about them a lot. The 2024 season was one of the most interesting ones we've had in a long time. It was the first really competitive one since 2021. Even though Norris didn't do as well as people expected, it was a season where he got his first career win. This ended all the mean Lando no wins comments about him. In the episode where he wins his first race, Drive to Survive picked a very different story than what really happened. When Jensen Button was talking about Max's feelings, they used video clips from the Dutch Grand Prix, not the Miami one. Max also talked about this. He said he had the greatest night of his life after the Miami Grand Prix and was super happy for his friend who finally won a race. If you look at the real video from the Miami Grand Prix, you can clearly see that the 4-time world champion's reaction is real. When talking about this more, Max said, "Apparently I was very sad after Miami. I literally had the best time ever on Sunday." As if this wasn't enough to make Max hate the show already, the Dutch driver was asked directly on his live stream if he's the biggest hater of Drive to Survive. He decided to keep quiet and probably not say anything because he might say something that could hurt certain people. "We understand that it's all about the show, the drama, and there needs to be effects added, but it's really a documentary that shows things like they happened on the track. If you're going to twist those stories, then you're just making up fake stories." Real F1 fans might find this very annoying to watch. Comments from fans were coming in too. Most of them pointed out that the directors of Drive to Survive acted like fans didn't watch the race at all. They said moments like this are exactly why they're not watching or taking Drive to Survive seriously at all. If you know how the Miami Grand Prix ended, you would remember that Max and Lando were caught partying in Miami after Lando's first win. This shows how good of a person Max is because it was when Red Bull's problems started and Adrian Newey announced he was leaving. I think he'd rather focus on these problems a lot more than celebrating a win for his rival, if we trust Drive to Survive's story. A second very big problem that fans found with the show was the Spa Grand Prix episode. In this episode, George Russell gets a talk from Toto Wolff, the Austrian called Russell for a chat after the controversial win where he got kicked out after his car didn't meet the weight rules. Wolff said he saw enough and that Russell is going to be the leader starting in 2025. This was the episode where Antonelli got moved up to Mercedes. While these touches were very nice, the fact that Drive to Survive kept showing Russell as the winner of the Belgian Grand Prix is a very big mistake that F1 fans have their own problems with. There's no question about the good driving that Russell showed during the Spa Grand Prix. Whether we like it or not, he did quite well defending the #1 spot on old tires. However, his car was also much lighter, and the fact that the plan didn't work out doesn't mean the show can show the episode like it ended with a Mercedes win. Maybe this was enough reason for Wolff to make Russell the leader. We don't argue with that. But a very obvious fact was left out here, and it's something that got F1 fans very angry. Russell got kicked out of the Belgian Grand Prix, and there were drivers who finished the race with a one-stop plan, like Alonso. So it's just another twist of reality that needs to be changed if we're going to move forward. If the sport really wants to create tons of fans through Netflix, through this picture of Russell winning the Spa Grand Prix. If you haven't watched the race or followed the sport at all, Drive to Survive creates a painful and wrong reality just to cover something they could have done with the kickout being shown as well. The race that brought the leadership role to Russell. Wolff said it himself, the race result didn't change his mind, so there was no reason at all for the directors to cut out the most important moment of the race just to keep the story as they would prefer. There are other stories that have been left out, and fans were very eager to see how they happened behind the cameras. The latest one was the fight between Russell and Max during the talk by the British driver where he spoke for about 14 minutes about why he feels he's right and Max isn't. There were tons of Netflix cameras along with the official F1 media. This was one of the most heated moments in the season because both Max and Russell had strong words for each other. It got so bad that their team bosses got involved in the whole thing. But even though Netflix probably had a lot of video of it, they chose not to make an episode about the fight between Russell and Max. Maybe they're going to wait and see how the situation develops in 2025. But the fact that this isn't being mentioned at all shows how much the show is missing out on parts that real F1 fans would have really loved. When you have a situation where Max is openly saying that he lost all respect for Russell, and the British driver said he won't be bullied around like everyone else by Max and he will stand up for himself. The last thing you'd expect is for this not be covered in at least a small part of an episode. Another piece that we really wanted to find out more about but were ultimately stripped of the chance was Adrian Newey's move to Aston Martin. This was the first domino that fell at Red Bull and the power shift that's now turning out to be the key person in creating a massive force. At Silverstone from 2026 onwards, everybody recognized that Newey still has a lot of potential to bring Max along if he wants to. But for Netflix, it seems like it's not too interesting of a story because we didn't actually get to see why the British mastermind decided to leave Red Bull after almost 2 decades and join another team. If we're going to talk about missed chances, we need to mention the Saudi Arabian debut of Ollie Bearman. This is the race that gave a rising F2 driver a chance to prove himself as a long-term solution for an F1 team. And unfortunately, we didn't see the background of it at all to make matters worse. Bearman has also driven as a substitute at Haas and scored points as well. He became the first driver in the history of the sport to drive a race for 2 different teams in the same season as a rookie and score points in both of them. It's just crazy to think that a future F1 driver is not part of the series because Netflix doesn't understand what real F1 fans want to see. All of this is creating a lot of talk on social media with people calling for a boycott again. And they have good reasons. This show does not show the true values of Formula One. Yes, it did help create a new fan base and it did help F1 expand to a large extent. But if it's going to continue with these wrong stories, it's going to hurt the realness of the sport. In the long run, this might be one of the reasons why Max didn't want to do anything with the show in the first place, but then changed his mind shortly after his first decision. Be that as it may, what are your thoughts on the latest season of Drive to Survive? And more importantly, how do you feel about these mistakes that were left out of the show? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to know more about the possible move of Max to Mercedes, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.